starring Bela Day in
But Ma, that's my favorite movie. Oh, well, all right. But don't you spend too much time in front of that TV, do you hear me? Yes, Ma. Welcome to another episode of my podcast, But Ma, that's my favorite movie, and I am your host, Bela Day. I want to take a moment to thank my listeners. So if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. You're a real one, period. And if you're a new listener, thanks so much for stopping by and giving my podcast a chance. I really, really appreciate it. And you know what? You were actually in for a treat, which I know will keep you coming back for more. All right. Now, if you are a new listener, I do want to give you a little info on how this podcast works, okay? So what we do here is we discuss movies. We don't really critique them. I mean, maybe a little here and there, but we mostly just talk about the movies and things I love about them. And I say we a lot because I feel like this is a conversation between us, that's what I'm assuming you're out there listening to me, right? We're talking. We're just having a good little time, right? And so we're talking about these movies, and I like to highlight things that I love about them, things I liked, things that I loved, just highlighting the positive things, right? And then pretty much you can just think of it as we've started a conversation about a particular movie, and then I go into telling you about the movie without spoiling the ending. Well, for one kind of episode, but we'll get to that. And then while I also go into info about like the cast, crew, and behind the scenes. Now, we do our episodes two different ways. Okay. So I have theme episodes where those are the ones I don't spoil the ending. And that is what I call my double feature. And an example of that would be episode 38, But Ma, That's My Favorite Crime Movie. And see, in that episode, it's a good example of my double features. I'll talk about two different movies and just kind of briefly go over them without spoiling the ending. And what I will do is I will choose episodes that fit within that subject that I've picked for that the title of the episode. And so normally in those episodes, I talk about movies I enjoy, love, or maybe even discuss some movies that I've seen for the first time. So it just really depends. But I feel like I have a good catalog of movies that I've seen that I haven't even touched the surface. So I do have a lot more movies to go through, to be honest. But sometimes I throw in ones that I haven't seen, and I do it for the purpose of the subject and the theme that we're going to be doing for that particular episode. Then a different episode that I have is where I discuss one solo movie, which I call the matinee. And pretty much with matinees, I just talk about one solo movie. I go through the same thing with like my theme episodes. I talk about behind the scenes information, the cast, crew, movies they've been in. I also add in another element of coming up with hypothetical questions, fun little creative topic questions about said movie. Okay. All right. And now today we have our theme episode, which is titled, But Ma, That's My Favorite Comedy Movie. And I'm actually super excited for this episode, and I've been wanting to do it. And so I just was like, man, I think for Black History Month, it would be great to talk about some urban films that I adore and love that are super funny. Now, before we do get into the movies, I do want to let you know about our social media real quick. So just in case you didn't know, please follow our social media pages for information that will provide, a sneak peek about upcoming movies, where I will post a guess the theme visual. And you'll have to guess either the movies or what you think the next theme will be based on, the visuals of the movies. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, we have a website, which I hope you go there more than the other ones, to be honest. The website is butma.that'smyfavoritemovie.com. And on that website, you'll get info about me, the host, You'll also know other platforms that you can listen to the podcast, and just so much more. I'm currently just working on the site, trying to figure out and what exactly I want to all do with it. But the main thing is it has a way to easily contact me. So if you have any recommendations, suggestions, comments, concerns, then you can reach out to me directly on that website, or you can go to either one of the social media pages that I mentioned. Now, all of the handles along with the link to the website are in the show notes / description box below. Don't forget, I'm still doing a contest where I'm going to give away $50 in a drawing. And how you enter is by tagging our page on social media while shouting out the podcast or giving us a review on the Apple Podcast app or the website. So if you do one, you will get 2 entries. But if you do the review plus shouting us out on social media, you'll get 4 entries. And whenever I do get enough, I will be definitely, doing the drawing and doing it on an episode. So definitely join into that, because why wouldn't you want a free $50? Because pretty much, everyone's on social media most of the time. So why not, right? And plus, you help out my podcast. So let's go ahead, since we got all of that out the way, let's get into these movies. All right, so the first movie we're going to get into, Lights, Camera, Action. Man, turn around and eat your big ass biscuit. That quote is by Euripides, such an interesting name, who is played by Alan Payne. And the movie we're going to be talking about first is CB4. Now, not to single out anyone, but if you're Black, you've probably seen this movie. I feel like this is a pretty obscure movie. I don't think not everyone's seen this movie probably. And I feel like if you're Black, you've probably seen this movie for sure. It's definitely one for the culture, because of how it is a parody on different, rap groups and just that type of lifestyle. And it's just a parody of it all. And so this is a really, really funny movie. And I grew up on this movie. So it was released March 12th, 1993. So y'all, I was just like 1 year old, like just turned 1 the previous month. Okay. Now the writers of this movie is Chris Rock, who also wrote for the movie I Think I Love My Wife, which I do love that movie, and I'm going to talk about that movie, and also Head of State. Another writer was Nelson George, who wrote Strictly Business and the first episode of the show Get Down on Netflix. And then we have Robert Locash, who wrote High School High and The Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult. The director is Tamara Davis, and she directed movies like Billy Madison, Half Baked, Crossroads. And I think that's funny because I know the movie Crossroads gets a lot of, how do you say this? Like, it didn't get the best reviews. People weren't really feeling that movie, but I just think that's funny that this is the same director who did CB4. So that is super interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the summary of this movie. All right, so we have A. White, who is showing this group called CB4 a rough cut of their documentary. That sounds so weird saying it. So it's a play on documentary, but since they're rappers, they called it a rapumentary. That just sounds weird, but oh well. So in this documentary that he's showing them, we're seeing interviews from various celebs and rappers. So we have people like Ice-T, Halle Berry, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Flavor Flav, and Shaquille O'Neal. Now, just kind of a side note here, Eazy-E, he passed away in 1995, okay? And this movie came out in 93, so 2 years later, he passed away. Now, I'm not even sure if he was ever interested in doing an acting career, or if he has been or did any other cameos in any other movies, but Hello, everyone. This is B.A.P.S. Sorry to interrupt this episode, but I just wanted to let you know that you were only listening to a preview. So if you would like to listen to the rest of this episode, then you can definitely go to the website, butma.that'smyfavoritemovie.com, or you can go directly to any of these platforms for the full episode. We are available on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Castbox. Please don't hesitate to follow the podcast on any of those platforms so that you can be notified anytime a new episode is available. If you didn't know, our primary release day is every Thursday, but be on the lookout for bonus content as well. Now, if you've listened to the But Ma, That's My Favorite Movie podcast before, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. So if you have a friend that loves movies like we do, then definitely go ahead and share this podcast with them. And if you're a new listener and you do end up enjoying the podcast, well, then you go ahead and share with a friend too. Also, don't forget to like any of our social media pages so that you can also get updates and regular information about the podcast and about any of the episodes that are coming up. The social media sites that we have a presence on are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also, if you want to leave a review, whether constructive or positive, we'd appreciate that too. All right, go ahead and get over to one of the other platforms so we can finish getting into the rest of these movies.